Thank you so much. Well, I'm very excited to be here today and to share a little bit about when to hire. Your business is growing. What options do you have? What are some things that you might want to consider? And, quite a bit of this comes from my own personal experience as my business has grown over the years. So with that, we'll just jump right in. And thought I would just kind of start from the beginning of how do we even get to that point? Well, it all starts with we come up with an idea that says, aha, I think I've got a great idea for a business. So I'm going to make a business plan. I'm going to decide what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, what I'm going to need, and I'm going to work through that. And it's a very exciting phase of starting a business. There's a lot of hopes. There's a lot of it's all going to be so fantastic. Most of the time, or a lot of the time when I hear people talking about, I've got this great business idea, I'm going to start my own business, sometimes there's some misconceptions there about how I'm not going to have to report to anyone, I'm going to be my own boss, I'm going to make millions. How many business owners in here hit that right off the bat? They didn't report to anyone, they made millions immediately. Not many of us do. Could it happen? Of course. Is it likely to happen quite like that? Probably not. But most people, whether it's a written plan or just a great idea and it's in their head what their plan is or how they want to progress forward, they've got some type of an idea of where they want to go, and they have some type of a plan here. A very exciting phase of starting a business. From there, if all's going well, they'll start to see success. So they're very excited. Things are growing. I'm getting business. Things are moving forward. But then, quite often what happens is they end up in this position. Have we been there before? I have, many times. I'm there now, where more is coming in than you can get out on your own. So that really brings us to the question of, what do we do at this point? Can we continue to be successful in this situation? Can we continue to grow our business with the way we are right now, with more coming in than we can get out? Are our customer relations going to be happy? Are they going to be, thrilled and provide that good, positive customer feedback if we're in this boat? Probably going to start to struggle there, okay? So at this point, we really have to think about success. What direction do we want to go? There's not just one answer here. My presentation today is about when to hire and going that direction. But the other option here is you may not want to hire. You may not want to take that next step. You may say, no, I started my business because I wanted it to be just me. I wanted to have my freedom to just control my schedule. I don't want to manage staff. I don't want to deal with scheduling and hours and the pettiness that maybe sometimes comes into that of, why did they get that day off and I didn't, and this and that and the other. It all happens when you have staff, right? We've all maybe worked at jobs where we've seen some of that going on, but hiring's not the only option. So at this point in the game, we have to decide, is hiring the right step for us? Is that direction we want to go? Or do I need to restructure where my business is? Maybe I need to raise prices. Maybe I need to redefine what my services are so that I can handle it myself and I can stay just me as a solopreneur, and that's it. And that's fine. That's an absolute fantastic choice, but it's a choice that when you hit this spot, you've got to make. Which direction do you want to go? For me and my business, I thought really long and hard about that. I liked the flexibility. I liked working from my home and doing different things that came along with it. But in the end, that wasn't the right choice for me. For me, I wanted my business to go to the next level. I wanted to add additional things. I had big visions of where I wanted to see that move to. So for me, I took the step of, all right, I need to hire. What does that mean? What do I do? What do I hire them to do for me? This is where I think when you get to the point and you say, I think it's time. I think I need to consider this next step. The first thing that a lot of times pops into people's heads, and I've experienced this when talking to clients, I experienced this myself, and it comes down to money. Oh my gosh, I can't afford that. There is no way I can afford to bring someone in right now to help me with this. But you're in that spot where more's coming in than you can get out, but you're thinking, oh, I can't do it yet. I just can't. It's a risk. is scary. It's a scary step for a lot of people. It was for me. And so what I encourage is at this point, don't just think about that money going out the door, but really think about your time and the cost and the balance, the cost benefit of that, because there's a lot more to it than just the cost. A lot more to it. And one of the things that I think we need to look beyond when we're at that phase is really, again, if you're in this position, and I think we've all been there at some point, can you continue to be successful and grow the way you want to grow if you remain in this position? And in most cases, the answer is no. At some point, you're going to have unhappy customers. You're going to stress yourself out. You might put yourself in a health risk because you're taking on way more than you can handle and that your body will allow. I think if you look across the room, there's a lot of us who have been there. We're like, oh my gosh, I barely sit down and I'm out. I wear myself out, completely every single day. Well, if you're getting to that phase, you're here. You've got more going on. You don't have that work-life balance anymore. It's kind of gotten off skew. So think about, how successful can I be if I'm in that position? So with that, we really have to think, instead of just that cost going out, it's an investment. When we think about hiring staff, we need to think of it as an investment. And by that, we really have to think about, what does it mean to invest this money? You need to understand your financials. You need to understand, how many clients do I need to bring in? How many products do I need to sell to support hiring that person? Can you support it right now? Maybe, maybe not. But how long will it be until you can? And then beyond that, that's just your break even. Beyond that, how much can you get back on your investment from making that hire? Typically, businesses will soar. They will grow from making that investment because you've got that short period of time where you've got to make sure that you can cover those costs, and that's where you just think, oh, I can't afford it. It's so expensive. But think beyond that. Maybe 6 months is all you need, and you'll now be profiting higher than you were before, and your customers will be happy, and you will not be stressed out and looking like that person was in the last picture. A couple of things here is when to hire. And I want to spend a little time here. If you're getting to this phase and you're saying, I can't do it because I can't afford it, I can't do it, I just got to keep on going, I can make do, I can stay up till midnight tonight and get that done, I can work all weekend long, I can do every hour possible until I collapse, and then I'll get up early in the next morning and start again. If you're in this phase, think beyond just getting the work done and think about, how well will you be able to interview? How well will you be able to review the candidates, the applications that come across your desk? If you're in this phase already and so overwhelmed with just getting the work done, will you be able to focus and find that right candidate? Take it to the next step. Let's say you get lucky, you find that candidate, even in this phase, and you're so frazzled, you have no time to even really look, but you find that person. Will you have time to train them? Will you have time to properly get them implemented and acclimated to your culture, the way you want your clients to be treated, the way your processes run, the way your systems are put into place? Maybe you need that person to help you develop that. Will you have time to communicate what you're looking for? Think about that. If we're in this phase, will we have the time to properly get that person on board and seek the benefits as quickly as we could otherwise? Here's your other option. You can take that leap. Take that leap of faith, but don't take it blindly. When I say take that leap, I don't mean, well, heck, I think I need to hire. Let's just go do it. Let's just figure it out. We'll just hire someone and get them in here. Don't do it blindly. Have some experts to help you. Understand your financials. Like I said before, what does it mean to hire? How many clients do you need to bring on? How many products do you need to sell in order to cover that? And then get a return on that. Know what that information is. Know what position that you are needing to fill. I think that's probably one of the hardest things to figure out, especially if it's your first or second hire, is I know I need help, but I just got to do it all myself. I can't let someone else do that. I don't want them to touch this. I don't want them to talk to that customer. I was there. It took me a long time to learn how to delegate. Kathy Sexton knows. She lived it with me. She helped me work through it and understand I don't have to be the one doing everything. If I find the right fit, they share those same cultures and values. I hired them because I trust that they can do a good job, so let them. That was a hard thing for me. I struggle with it every day. It's not something, it's in my blood that if you want something done right, you just do it yourself. Don't let anybody else touch it. But I've learned that's not the best way to run my business. So I have to check myself and put myself back in balance constantly to say, why am I doing this? This is not where I should be spending my time. This is where one of my staff that I've hired and I trust and they do a fantastic job, they can handle this. But I have to put myself into check all the time with that. But the point here is you've got an option as to when is the right time. And I recommend that this is not the best time to do it. I've been there. I put myself in that position to do it. I scrambled and I struggled and I did not utilize my employee. Probably for about 1.5 years, I did not utilize her fully where I could have almost from the first couple of months. So my return on my investment there was a lot longer than it really had to be. But it was because I didn't take that leap. I didn't fully think out, how do I delegate? How do I let go? What is that position really going to do? And that's where I really feel when you come down to this point of when do you hire, you got to think through all these different things. Is hiring right for you? Or is it best for you to stay on your own and restructure kind of how you're doing your business? And if it is, don't wait till that crazy stressed person. Take that leap, but do it with knowledge. Do it with information. Make sure you understand what you need to hire for. Make sure you understand what your financials, the impact that will have on it. And surround yourself by experts. That's where I love E4E. They've been fantastic. You don't fly alone. So that leap that I was talking about and making sure you know and don't take it blindly, that comes from surrounding yourself by experts that really know how to help you out and how to break that down and bring clarity to what you're wanting to do. Many of us, even with what I do, I handle the financial side of things for all my clients, and I can sit down with them and I can share, hey, you really need to consider this, or here's going to be the impacts, and I can do scenarios and if this, then that situations with them and help them see and bring clarity so they can make an educated decision as to what's best for them. But sometimes you're too close to it to do it for yourself. And that's where even I brought in people to say, okay, what does this mean? Here's what I see, but is that right? Because you need that outside perspective. It really helps. So bring in people who can help you, your CPA, someone like myself, who can help you understand the financial side. Bring in someone like Kathy Sexton who can help you with the productivity side, understanding what do you really need and walk through so that you can bring clarity to yourself, what's going to be best. Bring in an HR partner, someone who can help you navigate that whole process of hiring, putting together that job description, understanding how to navigate those waters, especially if it's your first or second hire. It was all Greek to me. So make sure you bring in those experts to help you along, okay? So with that being said, what questions do you have for me? Andy.
Right systems in place and balance that with having the right people in place?
I think, so his question was, how do you balance having the right systems in place and having the right people in place? I think having the right people in place comes from a lot of what the first panel talked about. Know who you are, know what your values are for yourself and your company, and share that. Because by letting people know what means the most to you and what your values are, that's what you're going to attract, and that's going to help you find the right people. What I firmly believe in is the skills, in many cases, can be trained, but that core values, those soft skills, that's who that person is. and you're not going to change them. They might be able to comply for a short period of time, but if those core values aren't aligned in the beginning, it's probably not going to work out in the end. So from a people perspective, know what your values are, know what you're seeking and how you want those customer relations to work, what you value the most, and you'll attract those types of people. The systems, that's something that has grown along the way. And I think knowing when to hire, it will never be the perfect time. So you will never have all the systems in place that you want to have. You'll never have all the finances in place that you want to have. It'll never, ever be the perfect time. To me, it's no different than having a baby. There is never a perfect time. No one in their right mind can ever afford having a baby, okay? If you put together all those calculations, no one would ever do it, right? But it's just a matter of knowing what that is and then building those systems as you go. You can have some basic systems in place to begin with, but if it's your first or second hire, utilize them to help you build those. Because I know when I hired my first, I didn't have a system because it was me. I had my own internal in my mind, how things were going to flow. But to share and say, okay, well, how do I know that that's been done and now it's my turn and who's going where, where's that file at, what's the status, what's been communicated, what hasn't. Those are all things that we developed together as we moved along. And now, as I continue to hire, a new person comes in and we have a system to implement them, to explain our culture clearer than what we ever had before. We have systems in place as to how we utilize technology to track projects and what our day-to-day tasks are, our time tracking system, all of that has developed over time. So don't ever think you have to have all that in place right at the beginning, because you just never will. Oh, Mark.
What's the time from when you take a hire like that on that you should see a return on investment to be profitable?
It varies with every company. That's not an across-the-board something that I can answer. It will vary greatly with every company, which is why I think it's so important that for each person individually, when you're ready for that step and you think that that's something that's your next step that you want to go to, you need someone to look at your financials specifically, what income you have coming in, and what that cost would be to you. Because depending on what you're hiring for, what they're going to do, what your products and services are, it'll vary greatly between company to company. Celine?
Have you run into some specific questions that help you determine somebody's core values and some soft skills and things like that? Because when you're interviewing someone and they want the job, it's a little tricky to know what are you going to ask them that you're going to really get to the core of their belief system and how they would operate without them just saying what they think you want to hear.
Yeah. I have changed my interview questions to be much more open-ended. Of tell me about a time when you had a situation like this. Tell me when you had a time about a situation like that. Not do you do this in this situation? Do you do that? And that has helped greatly. But what I do is I go by the absolute having my psychographic profile that I put together. Dale Furtwingler, I don't know where he is sitting right now. Oh, he's blocked by the camera for my vision, but he helped me develop that and bring clarity to what that profile is for my organization. And that's what I use when attracting new clients, and that's what I use also when attracting new employees. So I share that information out with, like initially with Kathy when she was helping me understand. I shared it with Lisa Oxenhandler, who's my HR partner, who has helped me. And also Lisa has helped me with the interview questions. I tell her, this is what I'm wanting to understand. What should I ask, or how should I position it to get to that? And she's been very helpful to help guide me through that as well. Mm-hmm.
Lori, you emphasized the notion of take that leap. Mm-hmm. Some businesses will get into the delegation game with the baby step, hiring a contract worker for one project, going part-time, starting with an intern, that sort of thing. Do you have experience in your business with taking the baby step as opposed to the leap? If so, pros and cons of the different approaches.
Yeah, I've done them all. I've done it all. So I have I've hired interns to come in to kind of help. My very, very first hire was a high school graduate who I knew was going away to college. And I knew I thought I needed to hire someone and needed some help but I didn't really know how's that going to work out financially. What am I going to, how am I going to structure this? What will they do? So it was great to test the waters because I knew she was a very responsible, very smart graduate. And so I used that kind of to test the waters and see. That gave me confidence that, yes, this position is going to work. This is exactly what I need, and allowed me to hire a more permanent person later. So for me, it was a great baby step because I was very nervous and scared to take that first step to hire anyone. But I've also had the situation where I just knew this is what I'm looking for and wanted to just take the leap to hire for that position. And the benefit to that is you're probably up to speed much faster. Because when I took that leap for that versus growing through the baby steps, I specifically looked to hire someone who is a great fit that could almost step in and be productive immediately versus the baby step of, well, let's see how it goes. Let's see what I'm looking for. The cycle just takes a little bit longer, but the results from both have been good. So I think it's just more of a personal choice and the amount of risk someone's willing to take. All right, so with that, just a quick summarize, things to consider is, one, what direction do you want to go? Because hiring may not always be the choice that you want to make, and that's okay. Hiring the right staff is an investment. Don't think of it just as that money out the door, because you will, if you hire the right person for the right job, seek a return on that. There's never a perfect time, but consider not waiting until you're buried so deep you can't interview or train properly. And review your financials to understand how and when you'll recoup that investment. Like I said, it'll vary greatly per client or per company, but know that information so that you can have confidence in what you're doing and what you can expect and can monitor and measure against that. And seek a professional to help. Nothing's better than bringing in other experts to help you understand and make that decision and at least feel very educated that I'm making the right decision for my company. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time today.